It's an everyday thing, it's an everyday thing, it's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
You all feel the shift too, right? The massive collective consciousness, spiritual awakening type shift. And I want you to think back. I'm going to play a clip for you in just a bit. Do you remember when Kendrick Lamar performed at the Super Bowl and said that the revolution would be televised?
Revolution about to be televised, you picked the right time but the wrong guy. Someone better squabble.
Okay, are you ready to jump into a woo-woo experience with me? This is going to live at the intersection of psychology, sociology, spirituality, social justice, politics, all that, okay? Go back to the election. We were presented with her losing, right? Then you flash forward to Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl a few months later talking about the revolution being televised. There were already people that were feeling a lot from that performance. It was about America facing itself in the mirror. It was about the 40 acres and a mule, right? The history behind America, the karmic reckoning, the karmic cycle that we are finding ourselves in right now, right? With everything that's happening, what we are having to face as a nation, but also as individuals, okay, when it comes to the shadow work and America looking at itself in the mirror in terms of its foundation, right? We're looking at white supremacy, we're looking at patriarchy. All of these things are being looked at right now, but also people are going through a massive collective awakening to so many different things and how there's so much corruption, right? So even if she would have won, she would have inherited the same system that was already broken, right? And now we've heard from her that she's talked about the broken system. It was never a left versus right thing. It was always a rich versus poor thing. It was about all these foundations and structures that exist, right? That have been built on white supremacy and patriarchy. And people are now waking up to that. Look at what's happening with Jimmy Kimmel, okay? Look at what the collective power of the people have been able to do to get these corporations to listen to them. When in the past, people weren't aware of how these things worked. And how so much of this has been infiltrated, right? All the systems, the media, education, all of the things that we have witnessed in less than a year, people are awakening to. People are also connecting to themselves and other people on a spiritual level. We are learning about timeline shifts. We are learning about different paradigms. We are learning about so many different things, and people are feeling that much more spiritually connected to a collective consciousness. And so people are also waking up to class consciousness and how there have been systems in play to purposefully divide us all, when in reality, we are stronger as a collective. So when Kendrick said that the revolution would be televised, are you understanding what that's actually looking like now? Are you picking up on this shift that we're going through? People are actually recognizing that they play a bigger role, not just in this earthly plane, but in the universe. And people are recognizing that all these things are connected. Foundations of the lives that we have in bed are crumbling, and sometimes those foundations need to topple down for something else to start anew. So if you understand what I'm saying, make sure you follow for more.
Well, that brings up another topic. Man, you know, I know y'all saw that performance on the Super Bowl. I know a lot of y'all was like, shut up and play football. We don't need this. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Some of y'all used the N-word. Some of y'all just said gibberish, whatever y'all. But either way, I know y'all didn't like to see it at the Super Bowl this year. You know, I've seen a lot of people say they didn't want to see it. But for the young people to tune in, we had to have a person like Kendrick Lamar on the stage. And it was a very powerful moment in history. Because coming from a guy from Compton. Anyway, off subject. Let's talk about when he said her, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris lost to Trump. Everybody knew that was going to happen. My thing is, Kamala Harris now coming out to speak about why she took that L. Also, Joker, don't let me forget about to talk about Nick Cannon after I finish this point. So Kamala Harris is going to speak out about why she kind of feels snubbed in that whole taking over after the Joe Biden step down, because everybody knew, let's be honest, yeah, Joe Biden, his ass was sleepy as a motherfucker. Like, what the? Anyway, man. So I see why they call him that, but it was just like, bro, you can't take another 4 years. You need to go figure something out. And all this, everything was circulating, but he knew what was going on with his body. But he still felt the need to run instead of letting Kamala take the reins from the get go. Like he should have just he should have just did his victory lap. He had made the goal. See, what you want to do is you want to finish on top, like Tom Brady. Tom Brady finished on top. You know what I'm saying? But Joe Biden, he wanted to have a victory lap, and he wanted to face off against Trump again. And I thought that was probably the biggest mistake ever. I was just like, no, we can't. We need something new in there, because these last 4 years have been kind of stagnant. America didn't grow as a people. We grew more divisive. We grew more poorer, if that's a word, more poor. Okay. Um, and it just wasn't a good look. But he held on for so long through the campaign, and Kamala's just sitting there, backing him. I know she was just sitting there like, man, this motherfucker need to get out the way. And then when he finally does, it's like, so now you put this on her, and she has what, 9 months to campaign to come with more stuff, campaign slogan, key, whatever she want to campaign on. You know what I'm saying? Fighting crime, sleeping around, whatever she wanted to talk about. She only had 9 months to do it, and I thought they left her in a bad situation. And I was pretty upset. I was like, why? Because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't want to vote for Joe Biden again. I'm like, man, do we have anybody else like Pete Buttigieg, or I'll even vote for the guy in Texas, the governor of Texas, or I vote for who else was running? It don't even matter. RFK, I would have voted for him. It didn't even matter at that point. It was just give me a Democrat or a decent Republican. Just give me somebody. She had 3 months. I thought, I couldn't remember. I know it was less than a year, and just you only got so much time to get everything ready, and present more policies, the policies that you want, the ones she felt more comfortable with. Instead, she's running off of what Joe Biden. She's trying to pick up where he left off, and he left it like a year ago. You know what I'm saying? She was trying to get him, like, they was hitting him with a cattle prod at the damn podium, like, bruh, wake up, looking ass. She was trying to pick up from shit from a year ago, and now she like, I thought that was crazy, and I hope that she mentions that, like, how all the Democrats let that hang. All the Democrats that left that hang, that was kind of crazy. But I told you I'm gonna be real with it. I don't care. I like who I like, but I'm gonna tell you what, they sure did do Kamala wrong. They did, and I think she'll do good as president. A lot of people are mad because she locked people up. Well, that's where some of y'all need to go. Some of y'all need to be locked up. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So Nick Cannon. All right. So bam. Now we can get to the freedom of speech, right? Where Jimmy Kimmel was sit your ass down. Don't. They got him his job back. Apparently, I think he's supposed to go on tonight. Is he going on tonight? If he goes on tonight, I'm gonna be watching it. Come on at like 10:30. If he goes on tonight, but he has to issue an apology. Also, make a donation to Turning Point USA. And I'm trying to figure out how is this relevant? What did he do? Was it hate speech or whatever? But it brings me to Kanye West and Nick Cannon. I don't know if y'all remember this. A couple years ago, Nick Cannon was on his podcast, and mind you, Nick Cannon is what's that? America's Got Talent. Wilding out. He got several other shows he's executive producing. Nick Cannon's at the top of his game. Well, he said something about the Jews. And he said that they control a lot of stuff or, something of that nature. Well, they was like, that's wrong, Nick Cannon. You shouldn't be telling people that. You're painting us in a bad light. You're painting us in a bad light. For that, we gotta take away your show, buddy. We got How many shows? Yeah, you can't run those shows no more. But we don't force our power or our hand on anybody. Then they was like, oh, and we need an apology. And I was like, damn, that right there, I seen that and I was just like, that's some backhanded ass. That's backhanded. Like they really said we don't have no power, but we taking all this away from you. And I was just like, I ain't talking about them. I'm just let this play out. And I was like, shit. Then Kanye did the same thing. But Kanye never backtracked. But he said what he said. And now look, he out here selling his clothes for $20 a item. Although he's still a multi-billionaire, he took a hard fall from Adidas and everything, which is crazy because Adidas was. It's neither here nor there. Maybe they still trying to right their wrongs. I don't know. Adidas still trying to right their wrongs. But fact of the matter is, we seen all this. We seen all the. This is what people in power do. People in power, they run by money, and there's a system controlling it. So Jimmy Kimmel got caught up in that system. Listen, buddy, you're gonna ruin the program. We got funding coming from this, and we got this coming from over here. You were good with the subtle Trump jokes. They were good with that, but it was something else that I don't. If y'all get my drift, and I told y'all a few shows ago what happened with Charlie Kirk and that behind closed door meeting and who he was getting that money from. Yeah, I'm telling y'all, man, boy, y'all better chill out. Y'all better chill out. When you start messing with them people money, they is not playing. When you start talking about them and their money, they is not playing. So shit, it's happening over and over again. But again, and the revolution is being televised.